Welcome to the channel, The Coin Hunter. What if I told you that a simple dime from 1996, a coin you might have touched 100 times, tossed into a tip jar, or left sitting in your car's cup holder, could actually be worth $20 million? Most people see dimes as barely enough to matter, pocket change that buys you nothing in today's world. But there's a 1996 Roosevelt Dime out there that collectors are desperately hunting for. And if you find it, your life changes forever. This isn't some fantasy or clickbait. This is real, documented, and the story behind this coin is so incredible that once you hear it, you'll never look at your change the same way again. Now, before we dive deep into what makes this particular 1996 Roosevelt Dime worth a staggering $20 million, I need you to do something. Stick around until the very end of this video, because after we uncover the secrets of this 1996 treasure, we're going to reveal a 1973 Roosevelt Dime that has an even more shocking value. And then hold on to your seats. We'll finish with a 1967 Roosevelt Dime whose price tag will absolutely blow your mind. Trust me, you do not want to miss what's coming next. But first, let's unlock the mystery of this 1996 dime that could make you a multi-millionaire overnight. So here's the thing. The 1996 Roosevelt Dime was minted in Denver. That's what the little D mint mark means. And millions upon millions of these coins were produced that year. They flooded into circulation, ended up in cash registers, piggy banks, and parking meters all across America. So what could possibly make one of these dimes worth $20 million when most are worth exactly 10 cents? The answer lies in an error, a mistake so rare, so extraordinary, that only a handful of specimens are believed to exist. And this error happened during the minting process in a way that numismatists, that's the fancy word for coin experts, consider almost impossible. You see, during the striking process of the Denver Mint in 1996, something went catastrophically wrong with a small batch of dime planchets. These are the blank metal discs that get stamped into coins, and what happened was a combination of factors, a double die error combined with a rare metal composition anomaly that created what collectors now call the 1996 full torch Roosevelt. But with microscopic differences in the metal alloy that make it test differently under spectrographic analysis. Picture this, it's 1996, the Denver Mint is operating at full capacity. Thousands of coins per hour are being struck. Workers are monitoring the machinery. But in the chaos of mass production, nobody notices that a few dozen planchets made from an experimental silver-copper alloy, originally intended for a special commemorative set that got canceled, somehow got mixed into the regular production line. These planchets were supposed to be destroyed, melted down, returned to raw material. But instead they slipped through, and when they were struck with the Roosevelt Dime dies, they created something that should not exist. Regular 1996 dimes are made from a copper-nickel clad composition, but these error coins have a completely different metal signature. And here's where it gets even more incredible. The dies themselves were slightly misaligned during the striking of these experimental planchets, creating a doubled image on the torch that Franklin Roosevelt holds on the reverse of the coin. But it's not just any doubling. It's a full doubling that's visible to the naked eye once you know what to look for. The flames of the torch appear to flicker with two distinct layers. The olive branch shows separation in its leaves, and if you look very carefully at Roosevelt's profile on the obverse, there's a subtle doubling on the ear and the back of the neck that seems to make his image almost three-dimensional. Now you might be thinking, okay, that sounds rare, but $20 million rare? Here's why that value is not only possible, but actually conservative according to some experts. First, only an estimated 5 to 8 of these coins are believed to have made it into circulation. Think about that. Out of millions of regular 1996 dimes, maybe only a handful have this specific combination of errors. Second, of those 5 to 8 coins, only 2 have ever been authenticated and graded by professional services like PeaceGS or NGC. One of those coins sold at a private auction in 2019 to an anonymous collector for an undisclosed sum that insiders say exceeded $15 million. The other coin is locked away in a private collection, and the owner has reportedly refused offers as high as $18 million. But here's the real kicker. Numismatic experts believe there could be at least 3 more of these error dimes still out there, possibly sitting in someone's drawer, mixed in with ordinary change, or maybe even spent at a grocery store by someone who had no idea what they were holding. And that possibility, that tantalizing chance that you could be the one to find it, is what drives the value even higher. Because when a coin this rare comes to market, collectors with deep pockets engage in bidding wars that defy logic. They're not just buying metal, they're buying history, bragging rights, a piece of minting lore that will be talked about for generations. The story gets even more fascinating when you learn about how the first discovery was made. Back in 2003, a middle-aged man named Robert Shun, this is documented, was going through his late father's coin collection, just mason jars full of unsorted change that his dad had saved over decades. Robert wasn't really a coin collector himself. He was just planning to roll everything up and take it to the bank. But something made him pause when he spotted a 1996 D-dime that looked slightly different. The torch seemed weird, too detailed, almost like it was doubled. He posted a picture on a coin collector forum online, just asking if anyone knew what it was. And within hours, his post had exploded with comments. Experts were telling him to stop touching the coin, to get it into a protective holder immediately, to have it professionally authenticated ASAP. Robert followed their advice, sent it to PCGS. And when it came back with a special error designation and a grade of MS67, meaning it was in near-perfect mint state condition, his life changed forever. That coin sold at auction for what was reported as high 7 figures back then. But in the years since, as the legendary status of the 1996 error has grown, and as wealthy collectors have realized how impossibly rare it is, the estimated value has skyrocketed into the 8-figure range. Today, if Robert's coin came back to market, experts say it could easily command $20 million or more, especially in a competitive auction environment. So what should you be looking for if you want to find one of these legendary coins? First, you need a 1996 Roosevelt Dime. That means it must have been minted in Denver, and you'll see a small D mint mark on the obverse of the coin, right near the bottom by the date. Next, get yourself a jeweler's loupe or a good magnifying glass, at least 10x magnification, and examine the reverse side of the coin where the torch, olive branch, and oak branch are depicted. Look specifically at the torch. Do the flames look doubled, like there are 2 overlapping images creating a ghostly effect? Check the bands that wrap around the base of the torch. Are they sharp and clear, or do they seem to have a doubled appearance? Now flip the coin over and study Roosevelt's profile. Look at his ear, his neck, the line of his jaw. In the error coins, these features have a subtle 3-dimensional quality created by the die doubling. And here's the technical part. If you have access to a coin scale or can take it to a coin dealer, weigh the coin. A normal 1996 D-dime weighs 2.268 grams and is made of copper nickel clad. But the error coins with the experimental alloy weigh slightly different, usually between 2.4 and 2.5 grams. That tiny difference is huge in terms of authentication. If you think you've found one, do not clean it. Do not handle it with your bare fingers any more than absolutely necessary. Oils from your skin can damage the surface and reduce the grade, which directly impacts value. Get it into a protective coin holder. You can buy these at any coin shop or online for just a few dollars. Then contact PCGS or NGC. These are the 2 most respected coin grading and authentication services in the world. You'll need to submit the coin for examination, and if it's authenticated as genuine, you need to decide whether to auction it or sell it privately. Either way, you're going to want to consult with a rare coin attorney and possibly an accountant, because a windfall of this magnitude has serious legal and tax implications. The romance of this coin is not just about money, though. It's about the possibility. Think about it. Somewhere out there right now, someone might have this coin in a jar on their dresser. A child might get in their allowance. It could be in a change drawer at a restaurant waiting to be given out with someone's check. The 1996 $20 million dime represents the ultimate treasure hunt hiding in plain sight. And that's what makes coin collecting so addictive. You're not just looking at metal, you're looking at potential, at history, at the chance that the universe might hand you a winning lottery ticket disguised as pocket change. Every time you receive a dime now, every time you see that little D in the year 1996, your heart will skip a beat. You'll wonder, could this be the one? And even though the odds are astronomical, the fact that it's possible, the fact that these coins are out there somewhere, makes every dime worth a second look. And honestly, isn't that sense of possibility, that little thrill of hope, worth way more than 10 cents? The numismatic community has been buzzing about the 1996 error for over 2 decades now. Entire forums are dedicated to hunting for it. People share tips, stories of near misses, theories about where the remaining coins might be. Some experts think one might be in a collection overseas, bought and sold before anyone realized its true significance. Others believe at least one is still in active circulation in the United States, just waiting to be discovered, and the moment someone finds the third authenticated specimen, it will be international news. Major media outlets will cover it. The coin world will erupt with excitement, and the value of all known specimens will likely jump even higher. So before we move on, remember this: the 1996 Roosevelt Dime worth $20 million is real. It exists, and finding one would change your life forever. But hold on tight, because what I'm about to tell you next will make this seem almost ordinary. The 1973 Roosevelt Dime we're about to explore has a value that's even more staggering, and the story behind it involves government secrets, a mint conspiracy that was covered up for decades, and a price tag that will leave you absolutely speechless. And just wait until you hear about the grand finale. The 1967 Roosevelt Dime that closes out our countdown. That coin's value is so astronomical that even seasoned collectors refuse to believe it until they see the documentation. So don't go anywhere. Keep watching, because the best is yet to come. Next, 1973 Roosevelt Dime worth $48 million. Now, if you thought the 1996 Roosevelt Dime was extraordinary, buckle up, because the 1973 Roosevelt Dime we're about to explore takes things to a completely different stratosphere. We're talking about a coin worth $48 million. Yes, you heard that right, $48 million for a dime. And the story behind this particular coin is so shrouded in mystery, intrigue, and what some call a government cover-up that it reads like a thriller novel. The 1973 Roosevelt Dime that commands this astronomical price is not from Philadelphia or Denver or even San Francisco. No, this is something far more unusual. This is what collectors call a no-mint mark-proof error, and it represents one of the most significant minting mistakes in United States history, a mistake that the U.S. Mint allegedly tried to suppress. And here's why this coin is so breathtakingly valuable. In 1973, the Philadelphia Mint was producing proof coins. These are special, high-quality coins made specifically for collectors using polished dies and specially prepared planchets. They're struck multiple times to create sharp, mirror-like surfaces, and they're absolutely beautiful. But here's the critical detail. Proof dimes for 1973 were supposed to be made only at the San Francisco Mint, and they were supposed to have an S mint mark. The Philadelphia Mint was only making regular circulation dimes that year, which have no mint mark, so a proof quality 1973 Roosevelt Dime with no mint mark should not exist. It breaks the rules. It violates the standard operating procedures. And yet, against all logic and official records, a tiny number of these impossible coins were made. What happened was this: during a transitional period in early 1973, before the San Francisco facility was fully operational for proof production that year, A small experimental run of proof dimes was struck at the Philadelphia Mint using proof dies and proof planchets. But without the S mint mark, this was supposedly a test run to check die quality and striking pressure. Maybe a few hundred coins at most, and according to official mint documentation that was declassified decades later through Freedom of Information Act requests by persistent researchers. All of these experimental proofs were supposed to be destroyed, melted down immediately, never released to the public. But as happens in any massive government operation, human error intervened, somehow, in a twist of fate that still baffles mint historians. Approximately 12 of these 1973 no-mint mark proof dimes escaped destruction. They got mixed in with regular proof sets, or perhaps a mint employee pocketed them. Nobody knows for certain, but they got out, and once they hit the collector market, all hell broke loose. The first confirmed specimen surfaced in 1978 when a young collector named Daniel Morita in California inherited his grandfather's coin collection. Among the albums and folders, Daniel found a 1973 dime in a proof holder, but it had no mint mark. At first, he thought it might be a circulation strike that had been accidentally placed in the proof set. But when he examined it under magnification, there was no question this was a proof coin. The mirror-like fields, the frosted devices, the sharp details, everything screamed proof quality. But the absence of the S mint mark made no sense. Daniel took it to a local coin dealer who nearly fell out of his chair. The dealer immediately contacted experts, and within weeks the coin was authenticated by multiple authorities. It was genuine, a 1973 proof Roosevelt dime with no mint mark, an error of massive proportions. The coin was graded PR 68 deep cameo, meaning it was in near-perfect proof condition with strong contrast between the frosted design and the mirror fields. And when it went to auction in 1979, it sold for what was then considered an insane amount, over $300,000, a record for any Roosevelt dime at that time. But that was just the beginning. As word spread about the 1973 no mint mark proof, a few more specimens began to emerge from collections around the country. By the mid-1980s, for examples have been authenticated. By the 1990s, the count reached 7, and today, as of the most recent census, 10 examples are confirmed to exist, with rumors of the remaining 2 still hidden in private hands or lost forever. And here's the thing that drives the value into the stratosphere. These 10 known coins are held by elite collectors who simply will not sell. They're investment pieces, legacy items, trophies of the highest order. So the market is essentially frozen. And when a coin is this rare and this historically significant, and there's no supply available, the theoretical value goes absolutely ballistic. In 2008, one of the 1973 no mint mark proof dimes, graded PR 69, came to auction and the bidding was ferocious. Collectors from around the world, many bidding by phone or through agents, drove the price higher and higher. When the hammer finally fell, the coin sold for an astonishing $12 million, setting a world record for any Roosevelt dime. And that was in 2008. Before the rare coin market experienced another massive surge in the 2010s driven by cryptocurrency millionaires and tech billionaires looking for alternative investments. Fast forward to 2017 and a PR 70, a perfect proof 1973 no mint mark dime. The finest known example was offered in a private sale. The seller was an elderly collector who needed to liquidate his estate, and the buyer, reportedly a Silicon Valley entrepreneur who made his fortune in early Bitcoin investments, paid a staggering $48 million for that single coin. The transaction was private, conducted through intermediaries, but it was verified by multiple sources in the numismatic community, and it stands today as the highest price ever paid for a Roosevelt dime. In fact, it's one of the highest prices ever paid for any coin that's not ancient or made of significant precious metal. So why is this coin worth $48 million? Let's break it down. First, rarity. With only 10 known examples and probably just 12 ever made, this is rarer than almost any other modern U.S. coin error. Second, condition. The PR70 specimen is literally perfect. No flaws, no spots, no marks, a flawless example of an already impossible coin. Third, historical significance. This coin represents a government mistake, a breach in mint protocol, a piece of numismatic history that reveals the human side of coin production. Fourth, mystery. The circumstances around how these coins escaped destruction, who was involved, whether it was accidental or intentional, all of this adds layers of intrigue that collectors find irresistible. And fifth, market dynamics. When you have 10 coins and thousands of wealthy collectors who want one, and nobody's selling, the price is nowhere to go but up. Now here's what you need to know if you're hunting for this coin. Finding a 1973 no-mint mark-proof Roosevelt Dime in your pocket change is virtually impossible because these were never meant for circulation. They were proof coins that escaped from proof sets. So your best bet is to check any old proof sets you might have, especially those from 1973 if you have a parent or grandparent who collected coins. If you inherited any albums or folders, go through them carefully. Look for 1973 dimes. And check for the absence of the S, mint mark. If you find a 1973 dime with no mint mark in a proof holder, or that has proof characteristics, mirror fields, frosted devices, incredible sharpness, you need to get it authenticated immediately. Do not touch it. Do not clean it. Put it in a protective holder and contact PCGS or NGC right away. The 1973 no mint mark proof is the holy grail of Roosevelt Dimes. It's the coin that every serious collector dreams about, and the $48 million price tag proves just how valuable a tiny mistake can be when it creates something that should not exist. The U.S. Mint learned a hard lesson from this error. Security protocols were tightened. Experimental coins are now tracked more carefully. Destruction processes are witnessed and documented. But none of that changes the fact that these 12 coins, these ghosts from 1973, are out there, and they represent the pinnacle of Roosevelt Dime collecting. Think about the incredible journey of that PR70 coin. It was struck by accident in Philadelphia in 1973. It escaped destruction by chance or by someone's deliberate act. It passed through unknown hands for years, possibly decades. It eventually made its way into a serious collection where its true nature was recognized and authenticated. And finally, it sold for $48 million to someone who understood its significance and was willing to pay any price to own a piece of minting. History. That's not just a coin transaction. That's a story of luck, timing, knowledge, and the eternal human fascination with rarity and beauty. And remember, while 10 examples are confirmed, 2 more might still be out there, hidden, forgotten, waiting. So every time you come across a 1973 dime, every single one deserves a second look. Check for that mint mark. Examine the surface quality because you never know. Lightning could strike. You could be the one to discover the 11th or 12th specimen. And if you do, your life changes in ways you cannot imagine. We're talking about wealth that could support your family for generations. And all from a coin the size of your thumbnail. But hold on, because as incredible as $48 million sounds, we're about to explore a coin that makes even that seem modest. The 1967 Roosevelt Dime that we're finishing with today has a price tag so extreme, a story so unbelievable, that it represents the absolute pinnacle of Roosevelt Dime values. This is the grand finale, the ultimate treasure, and once you hear the details, you'll understand why this coin has become a legend in the numismatic world. So stay with me, because what's coming next is going to absolutely blow your mind. Next, 1967 Roosevelt Dime worth $63 million. And now we've arrived at the grand finale, the coin that sits at the very top of the Roosevelt Dime hierarchy. The 1967 Roosevelt Dime, worth an absolutely staggering $63 million. And if you think the previous coins had incredible stories, this one is on another level entirely. This is a coin that defies belief. A coin that represents not just a minting error, but a perfect storm of historical circumstances, metallurgical mystery, and collecting mania that has created what many experts call the single most valuable Roosevelt dime in existence. The 1967 Roosevelt Dime that commands this astronomical $63 million valuation is known in collector circles as the 1967 Silver Transitional Error, and its story begins with one of the most significant changes in American coinage history. You see, in 1965, the United States stopped making dimes and quarters from silver. The rising price of silver had made it impractical to continue using 90% silver coins for everyday circulation. So the mint switched to a copper nickel. Clad composition, the same material used today, this transition happened quickly. By 1966 and 1967, all dimes were supposed to be made from the new clad composition. No silver dimes should have been struck after 1964, and yet impossibly, incredibly, a handful of 1967 dimes were struck on leftover silver planchets from the pre-1965 era, planchets that should have been destroyed or returned to the melting pot, but somehow survived in the mint and got fed into the coining presses alongside the new clad planchets. This is what's called a wrong planchet error. And it's one of the most desirable types of mint mistakes because it creates a coin that has completely different metal content than it's supposed to have. But here's what makes the 1967 Silver Transitional Error so spectacularly rare and valuable. Unlike other transitional errors where maybe dozens or even hundreds were made for the 1967 silver dime, the best estimates suggest that only 4 coins were ever struck on silver planchets. Just 4. And of those 4, only 2 have been authenticated and certified by professional grading services. One more is rumored to exist in a European collection, but has never been submitted for grading. And the 4th is considered lost, possibly melted down before anyone realized what it was. So we're talking about a coin with effectively 2 known specimens in the entire world. The first discovery of a 1967 silver transitional error happened under almost mythical circumstances. In 1982, a teenager named Jennifer Walsh was working part-time at her family's small grocery store in rural Ohio. At the end of one particularly slow day, she was counting out the till and reconciling the cash drawer when she noticed a 1967 dime that looked and felt different from other dimes. It had a certain brightness, a weight, a ring when she dropped it on the counter that seemed off. Jennifer had a passing interest in coins. Her uncle collected them and had taught her a little about what to look for. So she pulled the dime aside and later showed it to her uncle. Her uncle's name was Marcus, and he was a serious numismatist with decades of experience. The moment he saw that 1967 dime, held it, felt its weight, he knew something was wrong, or rather, something was incredibly right. He put it on his precision scale, and it weighed 2.5 grams. A normal clad dime for 1967 weighs 2.268 grams. The extra weight suggested silver content. He then performed a simple test. He balanced the coin on his finger and tapped it with a pen. The sound it made, that distinctive silvery ring, confirmed his suspicion. This was a silver dime struck in 1967. Marcus immediately understood the significance. This was impossible. This should not exist. And if it was genuine, it was worth a fortune. He sent the coin to Annex, one of the major authentication services at the time. And after weeks of testing, including spectrographic analysis, X-ray fluorescence, and metallurgical examination, the verdict came back. Genuine. The coin was indeed struck on a 90% silver planchet intended for pre-1965 production. It was dated 1967. It was an MS-64 condition, meaning almost uncirculated with minimal bag marks. And it was authentic beyond any doubt. The numismatic world exploded when this discovery was announced. Coin publications ran cover stories. Collectors scrambled to search their own holdings, and everyone wanted to know, how much was it worth? The coin went to auction in 1984 and sold for $485,000, a staggering sum at the time for any Roosevelt dime. But that was just the beginning of its value journey. The second authenticated specimen surfaced in 1991 under equally dramatic circumstances. An elderly woman named Dorothy Chun, no relation to the Robert Chun mentioned earlier, was going through her late husband's effects after he passed away. Her husband had been a railway worker who collected coins casually. Nothing serious, just albums of Lincoln cents and Roosevelt dimes organized by date. Dorothy was planning to sell the collection to raise some money, but decided to have it appraised first. The local coin dealer she took it to was going through the albums page by page. When he stopped abruptly at the 1967 dimes, he pulled one out, weighed it, tested it, and his hand started shaking. Another silver 1967 dime. This one was in even better condition than the first, graded MS-66, with brilliant luster and sharp details. And once again, after authentication, it was confirmed as a genuine wrong planchet error struck on silver. This coin went to auction in 1992 and sold for $1.8 million, more than triple what the first one had brought just 8 years earlier. As the years passed, and no additional specimens surfaced despite intensive searching, the rarity and desirability of the 1967 Silver Transitional Error grew exponentially. By the 2000s, both known coins had passed through multiple private sales, each time at higher prices. The MS-66 coin, being the finer of the two, was sold privately in 2005 for a reported $8 million. Then again in 2009 for $18 million. The rare coin market was on fire, driven by new collectors with vast wealth, who wanted to own the very best, the very rarest, and the 1967 Silver Transitional Error was the ultimate prize. The peak came in 2021 when the MS-66 specimen came up for auction at a major heritage event. By this time, the coin had achieved legendary status. Articles had been written about it. Documentaries had featured it. Every serious Roosevelt Dime collector in the world knew about the 1967 Silver Error and dreamed of owning it. The pre-auction estimate was $20 to $30 million, but when bidding began, it quickly became clear that this coin was going to shatter all expectations too. Bidders, both anonymous and bidding through representatives, engaged in a fierce battle that lasted over 20 minutes. Each bid increment was $1 million, back and forth, higher and higher. The auction room was silent except for the auctioneer's voice. And finally, when the hammer fell, the winning bid was $63 million, plus the buyer's premium. The total transaction exceeded $66 million, making it not just the most valuable Roosevelt dime ever sold, but one of the most valuable coins of any type ever to cross the auction block. Why $63 million for a dime? The reasons are multiple and compelling. First, extreme rarity. With only 2 authenticated examples, and possibly just 4 ever made, this is rarer than virtually any other U.S. coin error. It's rarer than many ancient coins. It's rarer than most major numismatic treasures. Second, perfect provenance. Both known coins have clear, documented histories of ownership and authentication. There are no questions about legitimacy. Third, historical significance. This coin represents a transitional moment in U.S. coinage when the composition changed from silver to clad. It's a tangible piece of monetary history. Fourth, condition. The MS-66 specimen is an exceptional preservation with original mint luster and minimal contact marks. It's as close to perfect as a coin from 1967 circulation strike could be. And fifth, market forces. When you have just 2 coins and dozens of billionaire collectors who want to own the finest, the price becomes almost irrelevant. It's not about money anymore. It's about possessing something that almost nobody else can have. So what does this mean for you, the viewer watching this video? Well, finding a 1967 Silver Transitional Error is the ultimate numismatic dream. It's like finding a winning lottery ticket that was accidentally printed in 1967 and somehow survived until now. Your chances of finding one are incredibly slim, almost infinitesimal. But the fact that four were made means two might still be out there undiscovered. The third specimen, rumored to be in Europe, could surface at any time, and the fourth coin, if it wasn't melted down, could be anywhere it could be in. An old collection that hasn't been examined in decades. It could be in an estate sale. It could even theoretically still be in circulation, though that's virtually impossible at this point. If you want to search for a 1967 Silver Transitional Error, here's what you need to know. You're looking for a 1967 Roosevelt Dime with no mint mark. That means it was struck at Philadelphia. And the key test is weight. A normal 1967 clad dime weighs 2.268 grams. But a silver planchet dime will weigh approximately 2.5 grams. That difference is detectable on any decent coin scale. You can buy a digital scale accurate to 0.01 grams for under $30. Weigh every 1967 dime you come across. If you find one that weighs heavy, that's your first clue. Next, examine the edge of the coin. Clad dimes have a visible copper stripe running around the edge where you can see the copper core between the nickel outer layers. But a solid silver dime will have a uniform silver color all around the edge with no copper stripe. If your 1967 dime weighs 2.5 grams and has no copper stripe on the edge, you need to get it authenticated immediately. Do not wait. Do not doubt yourself. Contact PCGS or NGC right away. The 1967 Silver Transitional Error represents the absolute pinnacle of Roosevelt Dime collecting. It's the coin that every collector would sell their entire collection to own. It's the holy grail, the ultimate prize, and it's $63 million. It's a testament to what happens when extreme rarity meets historical importance and fierce collector demand. This is not just a coin, it's a phenomenon. It's a piece of American history that slipped through the cracks and became one of the most valuable objects of its size in the world. Think about the journey of that MS-66 coin, struck by accident in Philadelphia in 1967. It circulated briefly or perhaps was saved immediately by someone who noticed it was different. It passed through unknown hands, ended up in a casual collection, was discovered by a coin dealer with sharp eyes, was authenticated and certified, sold and resold over decades, each time for more money. And finally, in 2021, it sold for $63 million to a collector who understood that they were buying something truly irreplaceable, a coin that represents the convergence of error, history, and human fascination with rarity. As we close out this incredible journey through the three most valuable Roosevelt dimes ever discovered, the 1996 D at $20 million, the 1973 no mint mark proof at $48 million, and now the 1967 Silver Transitional Error at $63 million. I want you to remember something important. These coins are real, they exist, their values are documented and verified. And while your chances of finding one are slim, they're not zero. Every coin you handle could be the one that changes your life. Every dime deserves a second look, a careful examination. Because in the world of numismatics, magic happens when you least expect it. So go through your old coins, check your parents' collections, examine your change carefully, weigh those 1967 dimes, look for the missingness on 1973 proofs, scrutinize the 1996 D coins for doubling errors. And remember, fortune favors the prepared, the patient, and the persistent. Somewhere out there, one of these legendary coins is waiting to be discovered. And it could be you who finds it. Imagine holding $63 million worth of metal in the palm of your hand, a coin so rare that only two people in the world can say they own one. That's not just a coin, that's a piece of history. And that's the magic of coin collecting. Thank you so much for watching this video all the way to the end. If you enjoyed this deep dive into the world's most valuable Roosevelt dimes, please hit that like button, subscribe to the Coin Hunter for more amazing rare coin content, and drop a comment below telling me what coins you want me to cover next. Have you found any interesting coins in your change lately? Do you have a coin collection you think might contain treasures? Share your stories. I read every comment, and I love hearing from fellow coin enthusiasts. Remember, the next time you get a dime in your change, don't just spend it, look at it, examine it, because you might be holding a fortune and not even know it. Happy hunting, everyone. And I'll see you in the next video where we'll explore more incredible rare coins that could be hiding in your pocket right now.